Well, good morning, Apollo Baptist Church and other viewers that are in uh, the internet and looking in on this vlog. Today is Monday. It is March 15th. Um, we're halfway through the month of March. What do you think of that? In our reading plan that we are following, we're in the book of Isaiah. And for this coming week, we are in chapters 38 through 41. And I want to focus on, I guess, about three chapters from last week and this week. Last week we ended with chapter 37. This week we start with chapter 38. Chapters 37, 38, 39, all of those are about the king of Judah, the southern kingdom. Hezekiah is his name. And there's constant battles going on with neighboring countries, and God is encouraging them to look to him. And he brings about some very difficult seasons for his people so that they will, in fact, learn to trust him. And we see that in Hezekiah's ministry. The Assyrian Empire, which has wiped out the northern kingdom, is coming against the southern kingdom, where Hezekiah is, and is a major threat. And Sennacherib is the king of Assyria, and he is just flaunting his ability and his power and how he has been able to destroy kings and kingdoms all over, and that the Jews in Judah will be no contest to him whatsoever. And it says in Isaiah 37 that Hezekiah prayed to the Lord. Oh, that is good news. Hezekiah prayed, and God honored that prayer. Oh, God was so pleased that the king of his people prayed and sought him in the midst of such taunting and just arrogant talk from the enemy of how their God was no greater than all of the other gods of the world, and that he had had success over them, he'll have success over Judah as well. And Hezekiah prayed. Oh, and chapter 37 ends with this amazing, wonderful reality that an angel of the Lord comes out and with just one sweep kills 185,000 Assyrians. 185,000 Assyrians wiped out in one sweep from one angelic being. I like that. And so God did protect from Sennacherib and from the arrogant, boastful bragging that Sennacherib was doing. Then we come to chapter 38. And chapter 38, 37, 39, all of them happening in a similar period of time. And it indicates that Isaiah goes to Hezekiah and tells him, get your house in order, you are going to die. It's it, you're over. So get things in order. And so Hezekiah is just blown away by that information. And he cries and he weeps. He sheds many tears. He laments greatly. and he cries out to God, talking about how he has tried to follow him and how he has done these various different things. And it seems to me that some of the prayer is a little bit selfish, but nonetheless, he does cry out to God, and that is very good. And again, God hears his prayer. Praise God. God hears his prayer. And Isaiah goes back to Hezekiah and tells him, God has heard your prayer. Isn't that good news? Don't you like that? That is great news. God heard Hezekiah's prayer. You and I pray. God hears us. And God said, I will give you 15 years that you would not have had. Now, if you look at the timelines, probably Hezekiah was 39 years old when that took place. And he got 15 more years. Now, that is essentially chapter 38. Chapter 39 is very short compared to other chapters in the book of Isaiah. Chapter 39 talks about the leaders from the up-and-coming world empire of Babylon. They were not a world empire yet, but they were up and coming. They come to visit Hezekiah. They come to pay him a visit. Hearing that he had been on his deathbed and that he was going to die, and yet he recovered. And so they come under the idea that they are congratulating him. They're rewarding him for his recovery. They are there to express gratitude for his recovery. Now, in their process of coming, they flatter Hezekiah. They flatter him for all of his accomplishments and his acquisition of so many riches. And the Bible talks about how many riches he had. He had to build special storehouses to store all of his gold and his silver and his grain. He was phenomenal in construction and reconstruction in the city of Jerusalem, in the waterways and the water resources, and to make Jerusalem more capable against enemies. And rather than giving honor and glory to the Lord, Hezekiah shows the Babylonians everything he has. He is so overwhelmed by their flattery. He is so overwhelmed by their compliments and their acknowledgement that his selfishness and self-centeredness really do come to the surface. And rather than honoring God and putting God first, he simply escorts them from one warehouse to another. He shows them every single thing that's there. Now, what's interesting is in the book of 2 Chronicles, where this very same event is mentioned, there is an insight given in 2 Chronicles that is not mentioned in Isaiah or in 2 Kings, where it is also mentioned. And that is that God purposely withdrew from Hezekiah in this event in order to test him and see what was truly inside of him. He didn't do well on this test. Rather than honoring the Lord and reflecting on God's ability, and it is God that has caused him to succeed, he takes all of the glory himself, and he is focused only on himself. And Isaiah tells him, shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have done that. The Babylonians will take everything you showed them, and there's coming a day when it won't be yours, but it will be theirs. And it gets even more sad than that. Hezekiah said, well, at least during my lifetime, there will be peace. In other words, you only care about yourself. And you see, the reality of it is, there is a thread in every one of us that's just incredibly selfish. Hezekiah did great things. He prayed, and God answered. But there was also a thread in Hezekiah's life that was very selfish. You know what? There's a thread in my life that's very selfish. There's a thread in your life that's very selfish. And we need to seek God. Oh, God, I want you to be the dominating force of my life every day, every moment. When things are going bad, I look to you. But when things are going good, I want to look to you then too. Hezekiah did actually better when things were scary than when things were not. I think we have a tendency to be like that. Let's turn to God in all of our days, not just the bad ones.